Ni omeimu ene amahudoso nsem ayensa ka ne aboaboa no eno na edu so ayede ebramo efri abeka junction ewo enka kopom na this way chocolate drink aso do hia ene enso special ice ene so enso mu ode ene mu eyakojin ena fe special drinks ene so mu gu ahodo ye de be ma obia no eye ya som na to bebre obi aba onchen a na watumi anya bi anom sa enyumako ene aboafo enkae na akabom aso yasene ayede awie pram to rekase bono ebramo sa so ena DSTV channel 360 kasebono ye twa eguso na debedi emu akotini bi enie Emma ane enkwada conference bi ekoso ewo Kimpiski eno ewo enkran na wokyerɛ asesan ya ebeba emma ane enkwada so wabra ewiem asesa eno ho conference na wonom ye wode akwa wiye na ye nkasebo edi animu no ye de ho nsem nyinada ebebremo tanso ena ononyamfo Isaac Adongo akasa ede afa media review ay na no nunyafo Koforidua de tu dwale ho na no eno de tu dwa se eye eno eye ade ede de se ye economy na yisikasam na ewukura no ntino media review no eno ye tribute anampo yakwanwuma a onunyafo Koforidua ebekenkan ye krobia asante kotoko hini otumfo zetu otosumienu ede atudwa sesenka Ghana ene Trinidad and Tobago ka abom na afia yenhyehyɛ yahodo de afakua ya agriculture ho a enka no betumi aboa medicines apa ene sikasam etotuye etumi aba amanmienu eso amahodo so ensem emu no kane America mampanyi a wo ni Donald Trump enya ntie se wo de criminal charges do no na abobo no ni nyina ne se 2020 presidential elections who results no e ka den company eye adane no awusanfo wei ane ensembia ebi eka ho na editie na edihwe ene aso no so krogin ye de ebramo ewo UTV so ewo enkran abeka junction Midday ade afia edutuba rosa Africa se bono emu ensem ankasa enie Oswafo abediechire anampo se wokọ eye mrahye bedwafia omen swafo abediechire a ohwe sikasam tutua so ye onunyamfo John Kuma opanyikese akasa ede atu edwase enano a onunyamfo Koforidua oswafo hwe omen sikasam tutua so working can mid-year budget review no wose se ye ya wa musa se omen ensama ne sika foforo bi no fa do so omen eyie anampo mfama omen ho ebra no eyensenhye kase a ede di se omensi kasam ekoye omensi kasam enam kwan paso a enche enema nyina betumi akoye osikasemu ede ama oman Ghana.
Mr. Speaker, the finance minister was here and did not request for supplementary budget. And he gave us indication on the economic performance that we have done so far and gave Ghana hope and confidence that all the steps taken so far is leading Ghana into restoration of macroeconomic stability and faster recovery of the economy. So, Mr. Speaker, that is their disappointment, but that is good news for our country. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister was here to talk to us about debt restructuring and what we have done so far, and that indeed is turning of the corner. Mr. Speaker, he spoke about growth strategies, that even in these difficult times, that we are talking about contractionary policies that will reduce our growth rate from 2.8% to 1.5%. We are still looking at growth strategies that will increase the growth performance. Mr. Speaker, let me give some statistics on the growth. Indeed, we have projected downwards to do 1.5%. But the reality is that in the first quarter of this year, in this same mid-year budget, as announced by the Ghana Statistical Service, Ghana's economy grew by 4.2%. So, the fact that under the fund program, we are required to do fiscal consolidation and contractionary expectation to do 1.5 does not mean that we are not going to grow. And we have a number of growth measures outside the fiscal space through the private sector and partnership with the development partners to ensure that we grow the economy. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm here to disappoint them that indeed when the finance speaker says that we have turned the corner, we have indeed turned the corner.
Mr. Speaker, and I heard my friend say again that the minister did not come here to request for additional appropriation. You've revised your revenue target from 143 billion to 134 billion. On what basis are you requesting for additional funding? To do what? To do what? where's the resources? We gave you the opportunity to go and raise the revenue, and you couldn't meet the target. We went as a committee. About 3 months ago, every shop that you go, you will see GRA officers there auditing invoices issued to customers. The deputy minister told us at the committee that it helped them to raise enough revenue. Why have they stopped? Today, if you go to the mosque, you can't find them. A process which has helped you to raise enough revenue. We have about 57,000 NABCO officers who have not been paid for the past 8 months. 8 months. People want job to be engaging, and you stop this process, and you're not getting the revenue. And you are here complaining. Sagremi is rotting down there, and you've raised additional resources to construct a new affordable houses. Does it make any economic sense?
Doesn't make sense.
Does it make economic sense?
Doesn't make sense.
You spent about 339 million to construct National Cathedral, and you are here begging people to buy into what government is saying. Who asked you to spend 333 million? For what? And you come here to complain to you. My notice said that don't put in further requests because we know the situation we find ourselves. Who caused it? Who created the mess?
Ononyelfo Isaac Adongo, I am minority ranking member on finance. Na wakasa edi atudwasa o main economy na mpo main sikasam no ewu. Enu ntino enano media review. Also afo so main sikasam to so raken Koforidua kwogina mase bedwafie kenkan ye no. Wasi eye tribute anampo ya kwonwoma eno kenkan ye no.
I would have wished that the finance minister had managed this economy so well that I'll be clapping for him. But yesterday he came and sang funeral dirges. As a matter of fact, when he finished reading, it was clear he was reading the tribute of a dead economy. And you want me not to say it? Mr. Speaker, the dead economy and the features that he described here yesterday was that this is an economy that at the end, half year, June, was growing at 4.2%. But it will end the year at 1.5%. Why? Is he going to put it in reverse here? That he will move an economy from 4.2% growth in June to 1.5% growth in the end of the year. So I should clap for him.
Unless a negative growth.
That is a reverse year. Is that the only year he knows?
That's the way he studies the corner.
Mr. Speaker, the man says that interest rates have moderated. Meanwhile, just 2 days ago, his governor increased the policy rate to 30%. This is not lending rate. The policy rate has just increased to 30%. Mr. Speaker, inflation, 42.5%. Clearly, these are features of a dead economy. Mr. Speaker, depreciation of the currency was negative 29.9% as of June. Mr. Speaker, he says that by the end of this year, his net international reserve will cover less than 1 month, 0.8 months. I did not say it. He came and read these things. Mr. Speaker, he says reserve money is 68 billion, but the governor of the central bank, through his own audited account, says that he registered negative reserve of 70 billion. You are reading a media budget when your entire reserve has disappeared. And you say, I should praise you. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, what the minister did here was basically reading the tribute of a dead economy he has to bury. I didn't say it. He said it here. Funeral dirges. We couldn't even dance because we're in a bad mood. The problem is reckless management of the Bank of Ghana, and Mr. Speaker, we must pay attention to that Bank of Ghana. How can you make a loss in reserve of 22 billion and blame it on government?
Our colleague on the other side just mentioned that they paid BOG supported government with a stock of 80 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, when you look at that report, the 80 billion stock dates way back 2 decades ago, and not now. 2 decades ago. Mr. Speaker, let me tell you that in 2017 to 2019, there was zero financing from the Bank of Ghana to the government of Ghana. It was only in 2020, because of the COVID, we had to go for a 10 billion loan. Yes, Mr. Speaker, beyond 2020, in 2021, there was zero financing. This is data, this is the truth. So I beg you out there to listen to the truth And don't consider what my colleague on the other side said. Mr. Speaker, in 2021, I must say and repeat, there was zero financing. You will all agree with me that in 2022, things were really bad. There were a lot of challenges, not just in Ghana, Mr. Speaker. So for my colleagues to sit here and pretend as if it was only in Ghana that things changed, that is not true. Clearly across the globe, times were hard. The Russian-Ukraine war came in. Unless you are telling me it is not true, Mr. Speaker, unless they are telling me it is not true.
Honourable members, order.
With a 37 billion overdraft, and not the rate or the amount my colleague on the other side stated. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not shying away from the fact that BOG supported government in 2022. In 2017, when the banks went into solvency, Government of Ghana came to support Bank of Ghana with about 20 to 25 billion to enable them address that issue. So, Mr. Speaker, if today the Ministry of Finance, the government through the Ministry of Finance also needs support, I don't see why we shouldn't do the same. And Mr. Speaker, beyond that, as part of the measures to streamline and help us guide our macroeconomic stability, we have an MOU with BOG not to finance government anymore. So, Mr. Speaker, that is that.
All Central Mashibejani and Eddie Onunyam for Benjamin Kodo Akasa de Atuja say, said the Niema SC engine so a ye, Debbie a debating and Nema Boy Air Cosro, exchange rate to crumple to me engine so ye, Nina Yen Central, ne Bakua air dead de say. MPP Abano, a back a memo to 26 assem to ya, or Monyade.
The minister says he has turned the corner. He's saying it, but in his own forecast, he has demonstrated clearly that he is very, very far from the corner. So far, the corner there, it has done Sulia for the finance minister. He alone stated clearly that he has downgraded the growth forecast from 2.8 to 1.5. If he's seeing the corner or if he's turning it, I thought he should have rather projected a higher one. Indeed, the Deputy Minister for Finance announced, in fact, it was earlier announced that it is 4.2. 4.2% growth rate was attained, I think, in the second quarter, isn't it? It's the first one. Now, if you have 4.2 and you have better prospects for higher growth, why are you pegging the end of year growth rate at 1.5? It is because you haven't seen the corner. Again, he has predicted that inflation will end by the end of the year at 34%. Even IMF World Bank sources project 24 by end of year. But he is raising it to 34. It means that the corner is still very far away from him. If he had seen that things were going to be better, he would have even given a forecast lower than that of the IMF, which was pegged at 24. So let's not project figures that would give deception to people. We are nowhere near the corner. The corner is very, very far away. Somebody said it is a sharp curve.
I was on 4 year to Kasia Bono eso. July the netoso eduonu miensa aposifo one more Asawase one ekoto share a year enipaku anampo baby osusu ye pass akromfo ne awudi for criminal hideout ya omota ehye emekwa wi ase nipa makumaku edu 914 na wonsa etumi eka wo na emu baako anedi edu Yusuf Sladin ebeto odwase wo mo eche no edness hankofi bi egu ninsa ekọ Asawase police station chempo na omu eja no muja no na okofi asabi okwato anananom ewo ensiedo asemu erem kakra no ntino eyade a ukomra shebedwafi a opanyi okasa oho no meche speaker no wode to amenyaso enanim se wo monye mu hwehwemu kakra isa se kwa abrante no fa so kofi ko wuye no ano eden na no na se de amenyaso en de atodwa se hwehwemu omo aye no adade se abrante receive no ya mono ya ntete no esanse wo mo ehu mark anampo enkan bia e oni nipadua mu
following reports of criminal activities within that area. At the hideout, the police team met a group of people who, upon seeing them, took to their heels in an attempt to escape arrest. The officers, however, managed to arrest 14 of them, including Slahadin, now deceased, and put them in handcuffs. Shortly after his arrest, the deceased, who was handcuffed together with one other person, exhibited some signs of sickness. As a result, the handcuffs were taken off him, and he was released by the police while the others were taken away to the Asawase police station. On the same day, one Alhaji Mohammed Salif Ibrahim, father of the deceased, reported to the Asawase police station that Slahadin was one of the people arrested by the police during the operation and later released to go, had been sent to Menshia Government Hospital for medical attention, but had been pronounced dead while being attended to by a medical officer. Following his death, a mob at about 8 p.m. the same day besieged the Asawase police station and caused damage to the office, louver blades, and electric meter at the station. Following the report of his death, the police followed up to the hospital where the deceased body was inspected, and no marks of assault were found on him. Police commenced investigations into the circumstances surrounding his death, and on the instruction of the Inspector General of Police, the Police Professional Standards Bureau, PPSB, also initiated investigations into the professional conduct of the officers involved in the operation.
Mr. Speaker, how can someone run himself against a wall and have abdominal blood in his abdomen? Mr. Speaker, how can someone who has been handcuffed be running against a wall? Mr. Speaker, how can someone who has been handcuffed with 13 others will be released upon seeing weakness without taking that person to hospital? You will see that there's a lot of gap in the police account. I'm comforted by the minister's statement that the matter is still ongoing. But my worry, Mr. Speaker, and here with great respect to my senior brother and the minister, that we've had too many of these and the matter is still ongoing and we never heard anything. And I can give you 2 incidents of examples in my own constituency. The minister, if you remember Osman Aldi, up to date, you've not been able to come back to this house to tell us exactly what happened. I've followed with questions. You keep saying that it's ongoing. You remember the Zongo 7? Yes, you did very well because the matter was thoroughly investigated. They were established that they were not armed robbers. Yes, compensation was paid. But the last bit, trying to get the perpetrators punished appropriately, you kept saying that it's ongoing, it's ongoing. Now we have this one. You are saying that it's ongoing. I continue to have trust in you as a minister. But I don't know whether we can continue having trust in the police administration. Mr. Speaker, it is on this that I want, just as we did with the Zongo 7, if the House will agree with me, for us to investigate this independent of the police, because the police have created credibility gap in the past.
Krobia Asante Kotokohini Otumfo Ozeto Tosumenu Akasa Ede Atujasa who be here pasa Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Amai Mienu, Ebeka Bom Ayasha Mudo Ede Afa Eyakuya and agriculture home. So the baby to many sike mudu Ede Efrimu Ede Aya Omai Ghana eye.
Asante ni otumfo osetutu otoso mienu akwako piemu ewo Trinidad and Tobago ni nyina no se omato omonsa afre no se na wotwe mu de womra na ombeka empanyimfo prime minister afi president ewo saa kuro no na enwumadie bi a omu edi na etimi akoso eno na Asante ni otumfo osetutu opiemu afri Ghana no nananom amanhene eka ho na brempon na afi eye akrachefo omo eka ne ho ekopiemu honom a adwumadie no ekoso na mra Asante ni otumfo osetutu ene oman no mpanyimfo eye oman Prime Minister Onimonyamfo Dr. Kate Christopher Eshiaye and watchere say oman Trinidad na afi eye oman Ghana na afi Asanteman ewo ayonkofa pa ache yie pa na ohwe kwan a aman mienu ebetimetu empon no ewo so oman mienu eka omontoma ebom serebe ya empontodwuma ebetima bam Asante ni kire say me ahodo pi wo ha aman mienu ebetima kan boma oman Ghana bediye Trinidad mine so ebediye na afi Asanteman so afa ntoma pa efra.
We have been received very well and been made to feel that we are home here. But we come with emotions. Where during the 15th century, our people were brought out through no fault of theirs to these islands and then subjugated to this type of inhuman treatment that we ourselves have not had answers to that. But then again, there was this emancipation that was declared that slavery and slave trade has been abolished. History tells me that Ghana and Trinidad have always had a linkage from there. So I'm here for us to look at various ways using this visit to also assure my people here that after emancipation, what next? We cannot continue to go out and blame the people who enslaved us. They've given us the freedom. But I still feel that my people have problems here. So after emancipation, what next? Not only emancipation celebration that is bringing us here, but we have come to affirm the brotherliness, the sisterliness of the two countries, and also to see how best we can collaborate in relation to development, the South-South cooperation, to be able to see how best this country and Ghana can collaborate. I believe strongly that we have to have that collaboration. I know at your level, at the political level, you've signed some agreements, but I don't want that to be shoved into the shelf because that's what happens. Joe. But I come here not as a politician, but as the king of Ashanti, who has a blood relation with my people, and I seek their welfare on the welfare of Trinidad. We still can do better for ourselves. We should make sure that the independence that we have, we would take the opportunity to develop ourselves in a way that it will enhance to the development of our destiny and our nature. So I'm here also for us to collaborate to see how best we can mutually build our countries together.
And no echi Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Kate Christopher, also ekasa echi musi.
As the African proverb says, until this lion learns to write, the story of the hunt will be that of the hunter. Today, the story of the hunted can be told. African royalty visiting by direct communication from Ghana to the Caribbean to Trinidad and Tobago. This history is long, it's painful, but it's also a story of resilience of a strong people. It was Trinidad and Tobago's sons who encouraged the thought on the backbone of Kwame Nkrumah to stand up to the British and impress upon himself, the people of Ghana and the British, that colonialism wasn't our permanent portion. That Ghanaian independence was possible and that Ghanaian people could run a country. And Ghanaian independence, following up on the Indian independence, started a wave of change that eventually reached Trinidad and Tobago in 1962. And we have been in charge of these islands since then, and it took that long for the Majesty from Kumasi, the Ashanti people, many of whom have blood relatives in these islands. I trust that this is not going to be your last visit, and that you will come as often as you would like.
Yenwianum asabi wonum aso asi a womonte asem no ye womusuku ba ko Koforidua honum ene omo nso eji omo entity womo ene wone e wo adwimu entiase ho haw no aka bom e de atodwa se nyame anim no kure ne womu hia wo haw papa e womu suku wono ma enye asam ketua wa haw ba ko ne se womu nuane ho nsam kura no ayeden e de ama omo baabi omo do omu ti beto ene baabi omo betena su ade nso eho ayeden wo sere aban ene ankrankro se ne die mada obia enhwe emwa wo mo yenko ahoma no so na ye ne yensem twoni ebeniza aye ento aso na nsem hu kaye no wonfa ento aso emaye ebe so atime nka pram to beka se bosuni ma hen
you minu abia mije oso
to aso maye
you ne ade atugwa ni nyina aye no kware ye konsrahwe ewo school for the deaf ewo Koforidua eye dwaben foforo ahinkro mu na yekwaye no ene yekoto headmaster oho eye ononyamfo Daniel Mugazi ena ono yentwetwe nkomo no se sukuu no wo for how mu pa sukuu ne ba ya che nanso wo hwe adan a mofra yi betena masunya de a adan ni sha ene kankan ne baby a woda wo se emutumi ye mama mofra no ese ebinom de da form ne ade wo se orekan sukuu no ongaje mofra bebiri nanso baby a wo beda ninti onga sama onga kofia awofo twense wo be frɛ won ansa wode mofra na ba ama adesua ne adekere nso akɔfɔ mu yiye ɛna bio baby a wo beja wo nan no ɛno nso yɛ baako pa a ɛwɔ hɔ mmea ne mmarima nyinaa kyɛ na edu anɔpa na wobɛhwɛ santen a mofra yi na mu anso onga tumi akɔyɛ wo ho ye na onga beguare akɔ sukuu a ɛyɛ ade a ɛyɛ ahometew paa ɛna bio no aban ma wo nnuan de nanso nnuan na ɛba no ndi na he na nnuan na sa nti ɔde adesrɛdere to aka adɔmfo anim ti wɔmmra no wɔmmɛkɔ wɔ mmoa sɛ na ɛbɛyɛ a wobɛnya nnuan bebree na wɔde ama mmɔfra yi na afei adan a ɛnni sukuu no mu no wɔn a wɔyɛ adrɛ ne ade no nso ɛtwu mbɛn wɔn sɛ na ɛbɛyɛ a wobɛtumi apa adan no na mmɔfra a aka fie no wɔmfa wɔn bɛka eyinom ho na adesua no nyɛ baako ɛyɛ saa na ebinom di kan gye ebinom na wɔte tifie na awofo no nso fra na wɔfrɛfrɛ wɔn sɛ mmɔfra ne tifie ɛyɛ saa na akɔakɔyɛ te sɛ wɔn na wɔn mpɛ sɛ mmɔfra no bɛbɛ sukuu ɛyɛ ɔhaw baako a ɛda sukuu no so yɛde ati bengbere mpanyin a ɛda sukuu no anim ɛno nti wɔde adesrɛde rema aban ɛne ankorankore wɔn bɛsɔ wɔn a sɛ na ɛbɛyɛ a ɔhaw na ɛwɔ hɔ no so wɔn antumi ayi ne nyinaa mfi hɔ mpo a wɔbɛtumi atew so na me nuabea saa na asɛm no sɛ n'ani
mo ene wa manebo ebusuafo yensem twoni ebeneza aye amanebo ena ode akoguo ne yeto akase bo no so na yakọ ensem foforo emu aloyafo enkabom ko ewo ebibrem atoye aman hodo so wo mo ede nanu asi honom eye won conference a wode to adwen ede afa emra asudie ena afenso adasafa ahodie ensem eho.
The judiciary is a very important organ of governance. Its independence must be guaranteed, and judges must be allowed to make decisions based on the law and facts that come before them. I believe that all of you here must be very appreciative of the Supreme Court of Ghana, that is composed of very competent judges who would do whatever is right based on law and the facts. And all we need to do is ensure that they are independent and that they are respected. And that whenever they take a decision, if it is against you as a person or a group, the best way is to resort to due process to try and, address, rather than we trying to sometimes want to vilify them and make nasty remarks about them, because by their training and position, they cannot respond.
Reasons are ebi mo ka say omugina so etu aban na ba ko ewo mu pa ni say obi nim raso na on person obeso extend the term of office nti e wo say na yetimi esi gina ye kese pa wo ha e hwe say ba say omra aka say nya 8 years eso a nya wadwen say wo ye den o to aso na ye to aso ye keta so hye ne proye say ba say sa ne man so ba na so ye aban a e wo so tu ana mon bia so tu sebe obetimi amasa dan den akofo na betimi ye free o na se ba na so wanya hwehwe na timi mama fo bisika se da bi enam se sa de oja yin nti no ye pese enso ye de mra e hye yensem en de ye association me ka se ya me ka waba no ho eno ase ne ye be hia e betimi ache se sei ene o se ye no e be ma aban bia aso ate ba se na o kan implementation no ejina aban na information akọ ne ho. For example, say ba se Liberian government, Ghana government, Gambian government, sa ade e be kan e kọ omanimu a yetuni enhwe omo say de aka no fanya adwuma but ebehia say omo so omo ba association omo betimi say betimi ahia aban saban ade a yeku kese aka no so mfa ye den mfa enye adwuma to rather encourage every government omo de beka ho bia no omo nyintum say be ya ye sub region ha sa ene matu oche matu aban no ebetimi ama free ha
oman bia ni ho a aban na ewom no ode ne ho so betimi aya se me de me mfa hwe ho enti se ene bibia si na ba association se wo ekuru dunu maka bom abo Koforidua sebio ade a do be ko badwum mam yentimi emfa ye pe enkopeja asojafo no mfiri abem ne mum ye kasa ye be kasa no ene ne mabie aman nani no won se Ghana de nye se bia ye de ne pepepe eso eye o de to ye ho ye pa se mfie aduasani ye nya ntawantawa bia ye to aba sa abato no kra manfo ye adwina nkopa omukọ atemwa kese dan kesim ekotama atemwa for mpanifo kyerɛ madwene saa na ye pese ye nuane mewo abibrim ha ye fam ha nyina no ye te sei no Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger na Guinea omukọ to aba sojafo afetuo atu omo to aba saa nyoma na ye pese ebi esi na won say ina na aka kyerɛ say prayer ba ko ibunu okabuma emu enti say ebi a asemusi say si Niger ye nua no Niger ba association omo nko aka say omo gina ene sebio omo sojafo na twe a omo nyina fapem no ano nya den ene say ekodunum nyina kabuma yinim say nyoma bekoye enu nti na ye hia wo ha na kyena so nyame adoma ebeto aba yi mpanifo eda anim foforo ye bompa ye sese no waba no be fa nto apa fra na atimagina yi
Awuzanfo yenko ahoma no so na ye ne yensem twoni samsi Kenya meche ento akase bo no eso na ne nyina ne se yenya ne ntie se ukọ eye Kumasi a edum ekwan no yesi ye nuan ma wonum etwi pragia ne bi wonum asikwan no adaya Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly KMFo wonum edemra bi ato mo so na yenko samsi ho wono ene betumi akire mu ye pa de ekoso e honom Samson so otemenka pram to rekase bosuni ma hen Hello Samson.
Yeah, hello.
Samson ma hen.
Yeah.
E de na ekoso.
Yo, abes ma be diamai ni na yenya na ntia se obepie mu e wo eye race course ntia hono ma. Ye from Parliamentary ana say the College of Education e hono no. Ye nua ma omo e de pragia ye aduma no. Ba broko okwan ni nyina so omo maka efike je tia e fa hono me mpie. E no omo free some run about the debate omo adan a Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly ntenyi for years say sisi an nye bebia na waso timi pragia me ba e bi so hwe senior district business center na we Kumasi edum ene kejetia hono me na e hono cars na bwa peso a enipa kwa nye bebi nsa pragia no so ebe edu hono saa na edin esa na akwa nti omo ye nche fe pragia no betima fa nipa anaso betima fa niema na odu bebi a bebi wa homo ma omo ewuo saa de hye na ke me kwayen pragia fo no so omo ntiasi etino omo pese omo ano aduane ebo omo ntino omo empere na omo na de embraso omo sema omo be bi mo ha be close to 30 minutes here ade a cars na load no bi antimi entwam just all sign of ebia Dr. Mensa side on na oko Arsenal na so ka so be fa from the runabout on the leg wire but nyamin charge swabe divisional command district command no omo men about be do hanoma me ba say the last 10 minutes in here the year estimate to you o ma so o mama and you know omo no blocks no ade na omo de road block ni na omo so omo ni na o tie de omo kana police for no mo aso omo fa enye wan wa say omo mesa ba be block entina o ba idea niam a e foso e wo Kumasi race course in che honoma
Yo na je se we de gidigidi bia ma ye bro so be ma obi kura pra wo mu na
kwaja say
me si gidigidi bia na odin bia nyini ti e be ma obi pra wo mu
oh gidigidi e sha se na no di ye pa on say enna say e sha se enna na no mo ye no pra no city gas wo city Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly omo tax force omo ye ma no omo na e bi pray enna de na de me so be ntin no pra pragia for so ame pochi be 7 and na pare so ekọ eye central but na de na a police ko ba na mum it take about 30 minutes and sana police ko no commander na wa ba no etimi no ma kasa wa engage wo mo se se ni para tosh o mo tosh ndi wo de wo ye untimi nka de bi o ko ma warning shot and aso ko ede ana nyame nta de police ko na etimi no ma kasa wo mo ye ntete si ade bi hu so bi etrawa
yo mo ene wa manebo abusuanfo yensem hwani Samsi Kenya meche amanebo eno de akogo no kasa efri Kumasi eye Asante Mantemo ye to akase bono so na ye de akọ amahudo so ensem emo Sieko America memu akane mampanyi anedi edi Donald Trump ye nyina nim sa bra na oman no eto mampanyi aba no na kada kuma so ade nyina ne senkaja obetumi afa ne ntuma pafra e wa abato ni mu na wasa atena oman no so mampanyi na wahwe oman no entoto na oman sikasam na oman no enema nyina ye den so ankwankoba ne se kwawi ase abato ni mu no wanya baabi anyina chese odi kuku ase se America se wanya mampanyi biemu ewo America man mu na se America man no ede so bo bese enan na wo mo ede abono na ni nyina mu no wo chese de di makotini yiye pa ne se 2020 mampanyi aba no eye ehon results na opanyi Donald Trump yi nkofa akwan bi so ye do betimi bia senkaja obesesa abato ne ho sunsuanso ne nenso no entumi antentam ama no na wo na America man no emra mu no pa na esanso tia eye democracy na mpoka mem kaduma ewo America man mu na ntire kwan bi aso no ewo so panyi wotumi ni kogina koto na otumi eyi na no ewo sa ensem we eho enam so amasa 45 page indictment ya special counsel Jack Smith wakofale ya Washington DC eye nro adue no odi ato ya sa 4 felony charges odi abono no emu ba akokra no se odi emu efa wobekọ afiase emfie bese 20 years in prison na fo asanso akwakoye adwumaden ade aguso na so Donald Trump de ya se omo kana asam kwa na ne buafu no wadwa no okeka bi kire wo na so ni nyina echi no empayifo che so omba yere no eda akogina koto na baabi asam no eda no wo de ato ekonom ede ama na so odi mu fode a opanyi enye wonwa se obetumi akwakodi edna kakra anampo emfie pi ewo afiase agudie mu nsam na edru so ye homeso na bongo de fara ede abeto aso ye twa ho abasisia